You're watching The Legal Breakdown. So, Glenn, 7 battleground states are right now sending fake electors to the RNC in Wisconsin next week, where they will anoint Donald Trump the nominee. Several of them are actually facing criminal charges right now, all of which signals that far from discouraging this kind of illegal activity, the Republicans are actually rallying behind these electors. Is this a failure of prosecutors? Which is not to say that these fake electors themselves and the GOP don't bear responsibility, but isn't it on the prosecutors to hold criminals to account, knowing that that's the only way to prevent criminal acts from being perpetrated again?
You know, I would say yes and no with respect to blaming prosecutors for this. But one thing is clear, Brian, it's like a mugshot is now a passport into Trump world. You know, it's almost a requirement that you have either been convicted of something, perhaps pardoned previously by Donald Trump, or you are pending charges for trying to criminally interfere in the last presidential election just to get your foot in the door at Trump world. You know, what Donald Trump and his loyalists, his flunkies, his lackeys, his lapdogs are doing is they are celebrating and rewarding lawlessness in the name of Donald Trump. Let's go back to the prosecutors. Listen, lots of state courts are now prosecuting these fake electors. So I don't know that I would call it a failing of the prosecutors. These people are pending trial, multiple felony offenses, most of them. And yet, you know, they're being permitted to continue to do, at least in part, the very thing that got them prosecuted, like be electors or representatives trying to, you know, get behind the candidacy of Donald Trump, who himself is a convicted felon pending sentencing, and he's pending felony charges in 3 other jurisdictions. You know, this is the legal upside down that we're living in. And I have to tell you, I wouldn't ordinarily go there, but when we see Donald Trump basically continuing to develop his core of, you know, miscreants, of felons, of people pending criminal trials, to get behind him, support him, and keep pushing him forward in his endeavor to retake the reins of federal power. I do not think it is beyond Donald Trump to, for example, take Mike Flynn, who pleaded guilty not just once, but twice, and then was pardoned by Donald Trump, put him in charge of the military. Take somebody like Roger Stone, who went to trial, was convicted, was sentenced, and then Donald Trump first commuted his sentence and then pardoned him, put him in charge of some government agency or another. Paul Manafort, Steve Bannon, these are people, these are criminals who may very well populate our federal government's executive branch. And, you know, hopefully it would be a bridge too far for him to pardon all of the insurrectionists, the folks who beat the living hell out of our police officers who were protecting the Capitol on January 6th. And I don't know, put them in charge of the DEA and the ATF and the FBI and other law enforcement components of our federal government. Is that what we have in store? Well, this taking fake electors who are pending criminal charges and injecting them back into the RNC convention so they can go, you know, do their part to support Donald Trump. It feels like we are not just slouching toward having a federal government and an executive branch populated by criminals, but we are sprinting in that direction.
Glenn, here's the big question that I want to take away from this, because we're watching in Donald Trump's trials, for example, as he awaits sentencing in New York, and there's a lot of talk about how when he continues to perpetuate these lies about the judge, about the trial, it's going to factor in when it comes to sentencing, because very clearly there's a lack of remorse. In that way, when we see these fake electors who, as I mentioned at the top, are many of them are awaiting trial right now, are being charged right now, is the fact that they're going back to the RNC right now and engaging in the same exact behavior that landed them in this trouble in the first place, is that going to factor in when it comes to their ongoing trials and their inevitable sentencing? The fact that they're doing this right now?
Yeah, you know, it's a great question, Brian. Will this come back to haunt the fake electors in the event of conviction at the time of their sentencing? I think it will certainly be relevant to any judge's decision about what the appropriate punishment is for these fake electors in the event of conviction. I don't know how much it aggravates their crimes because I don't know that they're doing anything illegal. In fact, I think the reporting said one or more of these fake electors asked permission of the court because when you are on pretrial release in criminal cases, you are often laboring under all sorts of restrictions that the judge places on you, including travel restrictions, who you can mix with and who you can't. And I believe some of the fake electors ask for the court's permission to, again, go to the RNC and act in some official or quasi-official capacity. But, Brian, doing that is very much like somebody who is pending trial for bank robbery, going back into a bank, and not just going into the bank, but, having a mask in one pocket and maybe a gun in the other. It feels wrong, and I have a feeling judges will take it into account. I just don't know how much it might impact a judge's sentencing decision.
Well, does this kind of atmospheric evidence kind of weigh in when it comes to the judges determining what happens next? I mean, clearly it's not illegal to serve as an elector at the RNC, but just given the circumstances surrounding these cases, could this be something that factors in when it comes to both the trials of these fake electors and the sentencing of these fake electors?
It would. It would be relevant to a judge's determination. Again, I don't know how heavily a judge might weigh it. But here's the thing. These folks are indicted for, criminally charged for, pending trial in cases involving them acting unlawfully as electors to try to undermine our free and fair American elections. So
it doesn't matter what the atmospheric, what this kind of stuff, because already the charges that they're facing right now are enough unto themselves to completely sink them.
Yeah, and this shows, I think, not just a lack of remorse, perhaps a lack of awareness with respect to your circumstances and what it means when somebody who is criminally charged with interfering in an election decides to insert themselves back into the election process in a similar capacity. I think judges would look at that and say, you know what? Nobody can accuse you of having learned your lesson.
Right. I mean, it really is telling that far from these people not being excommunicated from the Republican Party, but actually central to the Republican Party and the RNC's mission to anoint Donald Trump the nominee again, really puts on full display that what they saw happen previously on January 6th in 2021, wasn't a bug. It is a feature. They will continue to wield violence as a political tool and as a cudgel against Democrats because they see that it's effective, and they will continue embracing the people, the foot soldiers who do their bidding for them. So, of course, Glenn and I will continue to beat this drum and stay on top of this beat right here. For those who are watching right now, if you want to follow along, please make sure to subscribe. The links to both of our channels are right here on the screen. Glenn is fast on his way to 1 million subscribers. I'm on my way to 3 million. If you're not yet subscribed, please do us a favor and subscribe. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
And I'm Glenn Kirshner.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown.